I'm Hal Strain. I'm the Special Ed Director and the Secondary Director for Tooele County School District. And
Chantel Cowan, Curriculum Specialist. See, I still can't even say it after the second time. Curriculum Specialist.
all right, very good. Now that you've had an opportunity to work through the bell ringer questions, let's go through the answers. So, okay. So, number one, it's true or false, every real number can be written as a complex number. The answer is true. Complex numbers are made up of both a real number and an imaginary number. We will give the definition of imaginary numbers a little bit later. Really, it's imaginary numbers are really the square root of -1. But we'll talk about that a little bit more later. Number two, which of the following would result in a product that is a rational number? So looking through those numbers, really the only option that makes up a rational number is going to be A, -4 times -6. That will give us an answer of 24, which would be a rational number. The other two options would not give us a rational number. So, number three, we've got parentheses, 3 plus 4 plus 5, and 3 plus parentheses 4 plus 5 are examples of what property? And really, the easiest way for me to remember this is this is the associative property, and it's because it doesn't matter which numbers are associating with each other, they are going to equal the same thing. So the answer for that is associative property. Number four, a student measures the heights of several plants to the nearest tenth of an inch. Which representation of real numbers would be the most appropriate? And again, the key to this is most appropriate, and that would be decimals. Now, so that's letter D, decimals. We could use fractions, but it would be more appropriate for us to use a decimal.
Look at a picture. So if you start, kind of think of like maybe a target, if you will. In the very middle, you have whole numbers. We actually start with your counting numbers, which is the 1, 2, 3. But then we go to whole, where we add 0. So very middle, we have whole numbers, which is 0, 1, 2, 3, and it goes on forever. Then if we look at it, we add the next set. That would be, what do you think?
Yeah.
The integers, because it's the whole number and their opposites. So we've got -2, -1, 0, 1, 2. Now what's nice about this one is it goes on forever in both directions. So what this means is an integer is, a whole number is also an integer because it's part of the set, it's on the inside. So then if we take a next step out, what do you think that next step would be? So all integers could also be considered rational numbers. And again, what's our definition of rational numbers? It can be written as a fraction, a over b, where b does not equal to 0. Does not equal 0. So can the number 2 be written as a fraction? So it's a rational number. Yes, it can, so it's a rational number. Now, all rational numbers are also considered real numbers. Now, what does real include also? Sorry, on Adobe Land, it's getting cut off here. Okay. So, irrational. It includes the irrational, the things that don't fit nicely in a box.
And those irrational numbers. Now, irrational numbers are those numbers that just, man, they don't seem sane. They never end, they never repeat.
So, what's an example of a pi? Excellent example. What's another example of an irrational number?
2/3.
Square root of 6. Very good. Square root of 5. Those are excellent irrational numbers.
Yep.
So the real number system is made up of both these rational numbers that fit into the box and these irrational numbers that don't like to play nice.
And then we have the imaginary numbers that we talked about earlier.
And then encompassing all of that, this big circle would fit right here under real. And then you've got a whole other number set over there called the imaginary.
And we did that because math has to be kind of fun, and we've got to make stuff up.
But like a lot of things in math, they're all interrelated. And the key is trying to figure out what those relationships are.
Yes. Yes, thank you. Okay, let's see. So, number 5, the answer would be an irrational number. Okay, number 6. The equation y squared equals negative 49 cannot be solved using a real number. By what kind of number can it be solved? Imaginary. And why? How would we solve that?
Because it's the same as the negative 1, same number.
Good. Absolutely. We've got y squared is equal to negative 49. We will take the square root of both sides. And that gives us y is equal to the square root of negative 49. Well, again, square root of a negative number, square roots do not like negative numbers. And so we kick them out and call it I. Okay? So, so the answer to that would be 7i, which is an imaginary number. Okay, number 7. The conjugate of 3 plus 4i is which of the following?
B.
Very good. Very good. So B. So
Okay, if you got that right, you need to celebrate. Celebrate
Yes.
for a minute. You remember the word conjugate.
so conjugate, and really, I'm just going to use their definition because I know. It should be, shouldn't it? Is it not in there? Okay. So really, for the conjugate, basically what we're doing is we're taking the second term and we're giving it we're taking the I'm forgetting my property name. Oh my gosh, the zero property. So we're just really changing that sign. That 3 plus 4i is changing to a 3 minus 4i, and that gives us our conjugate.
It's because i's come in pairs.
Yes.
Well, when you look at it, when i's come in pairs, for instance, like the one that we actually just solved up above, where y squared equals negative 49, I'm going to pretend for a moment that that just says y squared equals 49. So we're going to take the negative out of there, which means that we know we have a real number solution here. So let's go ahead and find the answer. What is the answer here? 7. And negative 7. Why would negative 7 work here? Because a negative times a negative is positive. So it also satisfies. Because it's a square, it has two answers. It has the answer of both positive and negative 7. So they come in pairs. Now if we put that negative back in there, oh no, I've got to take the square root of negative 49. As Hal mentioned before, the negative part, this is basically like the square root of negative 1 times the square root of 49. But we just saw the square root of 49 here was both positive and negative 7. And we talked about the definition that the square root of negative 1 is I. So it comes in pairs. And that's then the conjugate is what is its pair? which is going to be the opposite side. But that's why you change the imaginary component and not the real number component.
So it only happens with the imaginary.
Yes, yes. And it becomes useful when you're solving for equations. You know what? We'll
We'll leave that for later.
Yeah.
We're just priming your minds right now.
Yes. Okay. Let's jump to number 8. Two sides of a right triangle measure 3 and 4 inches in length. What would be the measure of the third side, which is the hypotenuse of the triangle? Now, some people can just look right at that and know instantly what the answer is because it's a special kind of triangle.
They memorized it.
They memorized it. It's a 3, 4, 5 triangle, right? So the hypotenuse would be 5. But if you didn't memorize it, do you have a tool that you can use?
Yes, you panic.
You panic?
You panic,
Absolutely.
you drink Diet Coke.
Absolutely. So what is the tool that you can use? The Pythagorean theorem. You guys, I love the Pythagorean theorem because it's got me out of so many jams. It can be used in so many different situations. It can help you when we start talking about geometry. Man, the Pythagorean theorem is going to be your buddy. So
I was once told if you forgot the Pythagorean theorem, your arms and legs were pulled so thin that your molecules get so spread out so far you cease to exist. Therefore, don't forget it.
love it.
So who knows what the Pythagorean theorem is?
All right, and what is A, B, and C in that equation?
So a squared plus b squared equals c squared.
Okay,
The legs of a right triangle equals the hypotenuse.
great. I'm loving the vocabulary I'm hearing here. So Steve said that the A and the B are the legs of the triangle, of the right triangle. Okay, Pythagorean theorem only works if we have a right triangle, not a wrong one. It has to be the right one. What do we mean by a right triangle?
90 degrees.
Okay, it has a 90-degree angle. So the legs are the two sides that make up that right angle, right? And then what's that side opposite called? The hypotenuse. Okay, so the side that's opposite the right angle is the hypotenuse. There you go. Beautiful. Okay, so you take the leg squared plus the other leg squared, and that equals the hypotenuse squared. So 3 squared is plus 4 squared. What's 4 squared? 9 plus 16? 25. Okay, so 25 equals c squared. How do I figure out what 25 or what c is? Square root of 25 is 5.
I'm not seeing it. How did you get the 3 and the 4 as the legs? How did you know that?
How did I know that? Because it said that we were looking for the hypotenuse.
Okay, but what does that look like? What I'm trying to get into is I'm trying to get to the point of how draws pictures. If you get stuck, the first thing you should do is draw a picture.
Before you get stuck.
Thank you.
Don't even give yourself a chance to get stuck. Draw a picture. Seriously, I don't do anything without drawing a picture. My kids they hate it. They get driven nuts by it if I'm helping them with their homework, because my response to everything was, "Where's your picture? Did you draw a picture? Dad, it's 4 plus 3. Draw a picture. Show me what it looks like." And really, it sounds really, really, really basic, you guys, but if you get in the habit of doing it and you can visualize it, you will grasp it. So
and
visualize it.
if you can find a triangle, you most likely have a Pythagorean theorem in there. So draw a picture. Thank you.
Yes, I'm sorry. Is that my water or is that your water?
I think that's yours.
This one?
Yeah.
Well, I'll just take a picture of each other so I don't want to drink it.
So just going over the work that Hal went through verbally, if we, so it does say the two sides. So the two sides are 3 and 4. We're trying to find this missing side. So then putting it into our equation, we know that we have 3 squared plus 4 squared equals our c squared. And that's why Hal had to go through and square those. So we've got 9 plus 16 equals c squared. Now, in case those of you in Adobe Land, that was Hal walking over there to get a paper. Okay. He's now coming back very slowly. One of your answer choice, if this is a multiple choice question, I guarantee one of your answer choices is going to be 25. And you're going to get so excited that you found your answer. It's 25, you're going to mark it and move on. Make sure you kind of take a deep breath back, go back, double check, make sure you answered the question that was really being asked. If you show your work as you're writing your equation down, you'll be able to look at that work and say, oh, wait a second, that's not c, that's c squared. And then it kind of clues you into, I need to take the square root, so I'm going to get 5. Okay, sorry for interrupting again.
Oh, no, you're fine. Okay, so, number 9. Sally has 4 shirts, 3 pairs of jeans, and 8 pairs of shoes. How many different outfits of 1 shirt, 1 jean, and 1 pair of shoes can she make? Okay.
Too many.
So,
Yeah.
first of all, this sounds like one of my daughters, and she has way too many clothes. Actually, this would be like 24 shirts, 24 pairs of jeans, and 80 shoes, if it was one of my daughters, but, which I have 5. So you feel sorry for me.
Chantel, will you pull that down just a little bit? Thanks.
Okay, so when we're looking at total number of options, first thing we want to do is we want to say, okay, well, she's got 4 shirts. So how many total options does she have there? She's got 4 shirts, right? So she's got 4 options. Now, if she has 3 pair of jeans, how many options does that add now? Well, she can wear any of those 3 pair of jeans with this shirt, any with this shirt, any with this shirt, any with this shirt. So we've now said that for every shirt option, there are 3 more options. Okay? Again, if you need to draw a picture, draw a picture. Do you need to draw a picture? Absolutely, always. Even when I am positive that I know the answer and I know how to figure the answer, I still draw a picture. Because I want to just double check and make sure that my mind has not left me. Because again, I said I have 5 daughters. It's going to go very soon. Okay, so 4 shirts. And for each one of those 4 shirts, she's got 3 pair of pants. So 3 more options. Now, for each one of those shirt, pants options, she has 8 more options with shoes. Oh my goodness.
Oh, I need a bigger piece of paper.
Yes, you are. Can anybody see a simple way that we can figure out these kind of problems? What is that simple way? Multiplication, right? So when we're looking for the total number of options available, and we have 4 of one thing, 3 of another, and 8 of another, we'll take 4 times 3 times 8. Problem solved. How did we know to do that? Well, we drew a picture, and we could see that that was going to... Okay, so if I had 4 things, and each one of those 4 things had 3 options, I know that I'm going to end up with 12, right? Oh, 4 times 3 is 12. My goodness. And we did the same thing with the 8. So if you guys, like I said, if ever there's a doubt, draw a picture. Before there's a doubt, draw a picture. Solve the problem. And use that picture to help you guys, okay? All right, so what's the answer? D, 96. Very good.
Should we give that its fancy name and probability?
Yes, go ahead.
It's the counting principle. The counting principle is where you just multiply the number of options to get together to see how many total options there are.
Okay, Number 10. True or false? The following question is an example, the following question is an example of a permutation. How many 5-person committees can be formed from a group of 100 candidates? And this one's kind of sneaky. Sorry. Yeah. You got the answer? What is it?
It's false.
Okay, and why is it false?
Well, not sure exactly why, but it should have been worded from a group of 100 candidates, only 5-person committees are formed. So I'm not sure why, but it's because it's not constant, I guess.
Okay, well, a permutation would depend on the order of the selected
That's what I
items.
meant, the order.
Yes. So, a good example of that would be if,
First, second, third place.
yeah, yes, we're looking for first, second, third. That would be a permutation. Okay, so you guys, we wanted to do this because we wanted you guys to know how important vocabulary is going to be. Because the questions, how confident do you guys feel that if you're just faced with answering, solve this equation kind of problem, how many feel confident you're going to be okay? Oh, I need to see more hands in there. You guys are okay with that. Is that something we need to focus on in here? Do we need to spend some time on that as well? Okay. All right. How many of you guys, when you saw some of this vocabulary, thought, oh my gosh, I don't know what they're talking about? Okay. Very good. So, Chantel is going to go over some of the vocabulary with you. What we've done is, like I said, by no means is this an all-inclusive list. This is just a good collection. We can add to this, we can take away from this, whatever we need to, but what I want you guys to take away from here is a part of your preparation is going to have to be studying the language, the vocabulary that's there. If you guys have something you want us to talk about, by all means, I will leave you with my email address, and Chantel, if she wants, will leave you with hers. And you guys can email us your questions, and we would like to address those with everybody here, because I can guarantee if you've got the question, somebody else does as well. So, yes?
The last question, would that be a combination, or that's just a random question?
Okay, so the last question, so actually, how many 5-person committees can be formed from a group of 100 candidates? I think that would just be a grouping, is what they're asking.
Okay.
How many, yeah, that's a grouping. How many 5-person committees can be formed from a group of 100 candidates? So it doesn't, like, a permutation is when you're looking for the order. When the order is important. Okay, so I will turn the time over to Chantel.
Okay, this vocabulary list that you have, we were very intentional to give you this particular one. This vocabulary is coming from New York State off of their website. It is covering vocabulary for K through 8 is kind of where they anticipate. There might be a little bit of overlap, but K through 8. And there's a second vocabulary list that we'll share with you after you become a little bit more comfortable with this one, and that is going to be more of your high school vocabulary. So we will definitely share that with you, but it was a lot larger than this one, and we didn't want to overwhelm today. Today we just wanted to kind of give you a tool to start using to go through and to review. So the combinations, the permutations, things like that, that will all be in the second set of vocabulary. So as you go through, you'll see that there are a lot of pictures and some definitions. And if you're kind of like me, you'll read it like this and go, yeah, I know that. And that's kind of about it, and it never actually made it into the brain. So Hal has actually a really good suggestion he used to use with his math class that he would do to help commit those definitions to memory.
So when you guys are looking at those definitions, you're reading somebody else's language. And really that somebody else is somebody who is sitting behind a desk and lives and dies by math. And they love it. But for everyday people like you and I, that language is not great because they're speaking fancy words. I don't speak in fancy words. I speak in how words, and how words are simple. So what I would ask my kids to do, my class, I would give them, for every unit that I would teach, I would give them an outline of that unit. And that I had prepared for them, that had all of the key words, all of the key information that I wanted them to take notes on. But I didn't want the notes directly copied from the book. I wanted them to take the definitions and put them in their own words. And if I caught a kid just copying, I would have the conversation with them about, I want to see your words because this is for you. This is for your memory. This isn't for me. Don't write it down just to write it down. Write it down to understand. And that's what I want you guys to do, is with these definitions, write it down to understand. Put it in words that mean something to you. You know, like I said, the associative property, for me, that's talking about numbers associating with each other. That's how I remember it. And so that's what I would write down. Numbers in a room associate with each other. It doesn't change the value if they associate with somebody else when we're dealing with addition and multiplication.
So dealing with what we've already talked about today, we've talked about the properties, so that would be a great one to now go through and rewrite the definition. So read the definition that's on here, but rewrite it so that you understand and know exactly what it says. Same thing with the number classifications, you know, the integers, the real numbers, rational numbers, complex numbers. That might be another great one to go through and to write in your own words. Another great one, and Hal really likes this one, if you'll turn to page 5, it's alternate exterior angles.
Oh.
This is another one. The angles, they love to put these kind of problems on all kinds of tests, from the ACT to just everything. Yeah. So let's look at it. It's at the top of the page. It's alternate exterior angles, and this is their definition. A pair of angles on the outer sides of two lines intersected by a transversal, but on the opposite sides of the transversal. Yeah, right? Okay, got that down. Let's move to the next one. Alternate interior angles. So Hal's going to kind of he's going to throw it out. He's going to go through and show you what that actually means, so that this is another one that you can go back and write in your own definition.
Okay, so, and why are, first of all, we need to know why consecutive angles, alternate interior angles, alternate exterior angles are important for us. Well, they're going to help us. Knowing the names of these, not so much, but the properties of them are going to help us when we're dealing with parallel lines. And so I would start off by talking about really what interior and exterior angles are. Okay. So when we have two lines, so we've got these two lines cut by a transversal. So a transversal is a line that goes through those two lines.
Two other lines that just cut
Oh my
through two other
goodness.
lines.
So that's more vocabulary. Now, interior angles are going to be everything inside the two original lines that are cut by that transversal. So that, and that are all interior angles.
Because they live inside the lines.
Because they're inside. So what do you think are exterior angles? Outside. Okay. So now, everything else in that, so remember we talked about alternate interior, alternate exterior, consecutive interior, consecutive exterior, those kind of things. The consecutive, alternate, all of those pieces are going to be determined by the transversal. So now, that transversal, that line that cuts through here, if they're on opposite sides of that, they're alternate. If they're on the same side of it, they're consecutive. So, consecutive exterior angles, right here. Yeah. Alternate exterior angles. Alternate interior, consecutive interior. Okay, so does that help a little bit? To just break it down like that? Now, again, the reason why we do this is because when we're dealing with
What kind of lines are those?
two parallel lines cut by a transversal.
Magic happens.
Okay, so there are postulates that will tell you alternate interior angles are congruent, consecutive interior angles are supplementary, alternate exterior angles are congruent, consecutive exterior angles are supplementary, all of that fun stuff, and it's great to know the vocabulary so you can start the conversation, but really, when we're dealing with parallel lines cut by a transversal, and again,
Can you show that on the, like the supplementary and the?
yes, as a matter of fact, that's what I'm doing right now.
Oh, okay.
That's what I'm doing.
Sorry.
So, no, you're good.
The question was, can you show
Yes,
what this looks like?
thank you. I would completely forget it. All right. Okay, so what that looks like, you guys, is if we have two parallel lines cut by a transversal, and again, the key is they've got to be parallel lines. They're cut by a transversal. All of my angles that look congruent are congruent. What does it mean to be congruent?
Same.
Exactly the same. Same size, same shape. Okay? So if they look the same, they are the same. Go a little Christmassy here, get some red and green angles. And if they don't look the same, they're supplementary. What does supplementary mean? They add up to 180, right? They add together to 180 degrees. So this angle plus that angle is 180 degrees, which is a straight line, right? Supplementary. And so you guys, that's one key. And some of the praxis, the praxis tests that I've seen, they've had 3 or 4 problems in there that dealt with parallel lines, or so that may be something that you want to remember. If you've got two parallel lines cut by a transversal, the acute angles are all the same measure. So if this is 30 degrees, that's 30, that's 30, and that's 30. If this is 30 degrees, what does that make that? How much? 150 degrees. Very good. Because they're supplementary. They have to add up to 180. So again, that's some more vocabulary. Supplementary.
So you only need to be, now again, remember, it's only when the parallel lines are cut by transversal. We would not be able to do that same thing up here, only when it's parallel. But if I know that this one is, we'll pull another one, let's say 25 degrees. I know that does not look 25 degrees, but we're going to call it 25. So let's name all the rest of the angles. You ready?
You want to do it or you want to do it?
You can do it.
Okay. So if that's 25, what's this one? Okay, 155. How do you know? Because they add up to 180. Okay, well, if that's, okay, so if this is 25, how much is this one? 155, why? Okay.
Because they
Consecutive
look the
exterior.
same.
And, yeah, this is 155, that's 155. Yeah, alternate exterior angles, very good. Alternate exterior angles are congruent. What do we know about this angle? 25. How about that one? We get the picture? Feel pretty good about it?
Okay.
Okay, very good.
So that's the purpose of the vocabulary that we just handed you, is if you will kind of go through and look over it during this next week, change some of the definitions into your own definitions. If you have one that doesn't make sense, send us an email with that word and we can come back and explain it. But that's what we would like you to do with this, is to look through it as you run into sample problems that you'll work on and things like that. If you have, this is a great reference to go to.
Okay, very good. Everybody feeling okay with that? So you've got a homework assignment.
Vocabulary.
Vocabulary. Now, you guys, we've got 45 minutes about left. If you guys need to take a break, you can go ahead and take a break. You guys, we don't have much time together, so if you'd like, I'll keep going. We'll keep going with this, but if you do need to take a break, please feel free. Okay?
We're going to pull up a video right now, so as we switch over, that would be a great time to.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Yes. You know what? Let's after we show the video, we'll write it up. Is there a place to sharpen pencils around?
I didn't think to bring
Who's
more
got
than
the
one.
pencil? I'll go with
Okay, so with that, okay.
I know what you're thinking. Before I got my certification, I had the same questions you do. Is the test really hard? How should I prepare? And what if I'm so nervous I forget everything but my name? The good news is, by planning your preparation, you can succeed on the test. Let's drop in on a few test takers to see how they're getting ready.
Susan, I'm overwhelmed. I know my subject, but I've never been any good at taking tests.
Frank, you're freaking out for no reason. Just relax. Taking tests isn't hard. There are a lot of shortcuts you can use.
Hey, what's going on?
Hey, Rick. I'm trying to prep for my certification test, and instead I'm prepped for a nervous breakdown. I don't know where to begin. It's all too much.
I'm telling him to relax and work the shortcuts, but he won't listen. I think these guys need some help here, don't you?
I agree. Can we join you?
Sure.
Sound familiar? Frank can't focus. And Susan thinks that taking a certification test is as simple as knowing the tricks. They're both wrong, but don't take my word for it. Let's see what Maria and Rick have to say.
I have to tell you, I took the test twice before I passed. The first time I was confused, so I skimmed the test prep materials and spent my time trying to figure out how to beat the system. I found out that the best way to pass the test is to do what Maria did.
I prepared. Preparation is everything. You can't beat the test, but you can pass it.
Exactly. Your first stop should be the program website. They have materials to help you prepare and organize yourself. There are detailed test descriptions with sample questions and test-taking strategies to help you know what to expect. These materials really help me get on the path to success.
Also, it's important to make a study schedule and stick to it. Once you go to the website and find out what topics are covered, you want to spend some time figuring out where your strengths and weaknesses are, determine what resources you have that will help you, like books or class notes, and what you'll need to fill the gaps, and schedule some time to study. Of course, you want to put aside some extra time for the areas that need the most review. Also consider a study group or taking an additional course to help you prepare. It worked for me.
Right? Joining a study group helped me a lot. Everyone has different strengths and weaknesses. If there was an area I wasn't as confident in, There was bound to be someone else in my group who could help out. It also really made a difference to have other people working through this with me. It seemed to make things a little less stressful, and also kept me accountable. If there was a time or two when I felt like I could slack off, I remembered that my group was counting on me.
Rick and Maria offer great advice. Whether you plan to study on your own or with others, you have to get organized. Go to the website, take stock of what you know, fill in the gaps, and get started with your review.
You guys want to write that page down?
There's also a link to the study guide that they're referencing on the UPDC page that describes this.
There's just no substitute for knowing the material.
Well, I see what you mean about knowing the content, but I'm still nervous. I can handle myself in a lot of different situations, but I get nervous just walking into a testing room.
Look, Frank, you're great at getting up in front of people and giving a speech. How do you get ready to do that?
I decide what I want to say, organize it, and practice until I'm comfortable. I also visualize myself in front of the audience when I practice. That's something I learned from my football coach, and it makes a huge difference.
Exactly. If you know your stuff and you're prepared, you won't be half as nervous.
Preparing for the test is like preparing to give a speech. Get familiar with what will be on the test, practice taking sample questions, focus on areas where you need review, and then do it.
So it's like you said, it's all about preparation and practice, isn't it?
Correct.
Preparation goes a long way to reduce anxiety.
I've been worried about something else too. I need to take insulin every couple of hours. Can I take that during the test?
I think that's okay. Check the supplement to the registration bulletin that's on the website to find out. But don't wait until the last minute, because it may take some time to get that cleared for test day.
Frank, I think you'll be in good shape by test day. The more prepared you are, the less stressed you'll be.
Fear of the unknown. It's totally natural to be nervous about taking a certification test, especially if you haven't taken one before. But the good news is that you can easily draw up a strategy for success. Just like Maria said, the more you know about what you're getting into, the more confident you'll feel on test day. Step 1 is getting your preparation materials together. Step 2, plan your study time. Pay attention to areas where you feel you might need extra review. Step 3, and this one's important, practice answering sample questions. They'll clue you in on the types of questions you're likely to see and get you familiar with applying all that newly refreshed knowledge to the test. Step 4, check out the website to get an idea of what the test is like and what to expect on test day. You'll find videos and lots of other information that will help you understand how things will run at the test center. If you have a disability or a health-related need, read the bulletin supplement to see if you have to request testing accommodations. Going over all this beforehand will not only ease your mind, it will also help prevent you from showing up unprepared, without the proper ID, or with prohibited items like cell phones. You don't want to spend all this time preparing for the test only to be turned away on test day for not having the proper ID.
The best strategy is to organize, plan, prepare, and practice.
And if you need help, ask a friend who's been through the process. Heck, I'll help you get through it.
Another thing, make sure you answer all the multiple choice questions, even if you have to guess. Right, Rick?
Sure. Nothing is subtracted from your score if you answer incorrectly, so try to eliminate answers you know are wrong and go from there.
Use your time to study, not to worry. You'll be fine.
So true. Instead of worrying, do some studying.
And practice. Organize your schedule and stick to it. Now, let's get to work.
I'll bet you guys know more than you think you do.
There you have it. Passing your certification test is all about organization, planning, preparation, and practice. So instead of wasting energy worrying, study and prepare. You can't control the test or the testing situation, but you can control yourself and how prepared you are. The keys to passing the test are obvious. Organize your material. Make a study schedule. Get the prep materials. Test yourself to see your strengths and weaknesses. Concentrate on areas where you feel you need extra study. The better prepared you are, the better your chances of passing the test. So hit the books, get ready, and be confident. You can pass this test. We know you can.
So, I guess it's pretty.
We want to make sure that we're helping you in a targeted way so that we're helping you in areas that you need help in. So what's being passed out right now is a list of the topics that are covered on the Praxis. And so that we have a better idea as to what topics you would like to see when we're here, we would like you to identify those areas. You can do it on a scale of 1 to 5. 5 being I'm very confident on this subject, and I don't need any extra help here. 1 being this is an area I clearly need some extra help on. I think with time we can go ahead and move into more problems that we can work in today. So if you will email us, and we'll give you, now's probably a good time to give email addresses, do you think?
Yes, let's do that.
If you will email us those areas that you identify as a 1 or 2 that you would definitely like to focus on, email them to us so that we can come prepared to present on those areas. And so that way you're getting the targeted help that you definitely need. Are there questions? All right. I'm going to run out of room. It's going to be one of those where I have to write on the sides.
Yes, you are.
Okay, so I'm going to turn the page because I wrote too big. It's kind of like fun. So you ready? Here we go. So it's COWAN. That's my @ symbol. Tooele schools.org. And Hal writes smaller than I do.
And sloppy.
My @ symbol's right here. It looks like an E, doesn't it? Look, I even took his spot. You made it.
Okay, and mine is HSTRAIN @schools.org.
And so we'll be looking forward to an email from you this week. And you can pick one or the other that you'd like to send it to. But we'll be looking forward to an email saying these are the areas I definitely want to target when you read through that list of topics that are going to be covered. Question?
You want us to narrow it down to the subject area, like algebra?
Yeah, algebra is pretty big.
You want to narrow it down?
Yeah, if you'll narrow it down to like the 1, 2s, and 3s within, you don't have to go all the way down to the ABCs. However, if you're pretty confident with everything but like 1AE, which is performing operations involving exponents, then that's what we'll focus on. But if you want to stop with just performing operations and properties in the real numbers, you can. So you take it down to the area that you're comfortable in. Hopefully you do take it down further than geometry or algebra. Okay, so those areas you really want to focus on. Other questions? Oh, sorry, I guess I should have repeated that question so you weren't helping me here.
Oh, sorry.
The question was, how far do you want us to be able to email you down where we want? Do you want it just the category or down to the more specific? Get as specific as you can, but you don't have to be overly specific.
Okay, and I just wanted to share a little bit of information with you guys about the test. So this comes directly off of BTS's website, and they tell us that arithmetic and algebra is going to be about 62%. Okay, geometry and data is going to be about 38%. So keep that in mind as you're going through, and wanting to learn more about certain areas. You're wanting to help on those certain areas. Our bang for the buck piece is going to be the arithmetic and algebra. And so Again, if you do have questions in geometry and data, absolutely get those to us. We want to help you with that. But make sure that you're paying special attention to arithmetic and algebra and any area in there that you're having a hard time with. Make sure you let us know about that, okay?
So if you remember what they said is practice, practice, practice. So,
Cal,
Yes.
do you happen to know when the next available test for this is?
I don't. Does anybody know when the next available test is?
February.
February, do you know when? February?
There are 2 weeks available still.
Okay. Oh, you do have it?
The next available test dates are February, the window opens February 3rd and closes February 15th.
Okay. So February 3rd and February 15th?
Through February 15th.
And I don't think there's any in March, right?
There are none in March, and then the next ones after that are in April. I have the dates through July.
Do you have the April? Yeah, you know what? Can we actually, let's just put them up here so we can see.
Can you tell us what grade is being certified to teach up through? Is it
the question is what grades would this certify us to teach up through? And I cannot answer that. So we'll see if, Kim, are you able to answer that question as to what grades this Praxis will certify them to teach up through?
To teach students with disabilities and secondary to the teacher of record through 12th grade.
So I'm going to give you the microphone. So the people in Adobe Land hear you.
Okay, so if you pass this Praxis test, you can teach students with disabilities and be the teacher of record up through 12th grade.
Where are these tests given?
The question is, where are these tests given?
It just depends. They're all.
The tests are given in various locations, so when you go in and sign up, you can pick a location to take it. So I know sometimes they'll have a location like maybe down in the southern end of the state, up north, around in Salt Lake. So you want to pay attention during that window of when the test is given during that window and the location. Because there might be tests given in, say, St. George during that window date that aren't given on the same date up in Salt Lake. So you have to look on the ETS website.
That was a question. That was a question from Adobe.
That was a question from Adobe Land.
Thank you, Adobe Land,
Very
for your
good.
question.
And for those of you in Adobe Land, I'm apologizing for coughing in my voice. My bad.
Okay, any other burning questions?
What does that mean from January 13th to January 25th? They have a test every day?
That's
It's already passed. That was prepared for a presentation that was in the past, so that window's closed.
yeah, so that's a test window. So, I'm guessing within that window, they can go and schedule to take the test anytime within the window?
Yes, again, check the ETS website. If you want to take a test during that window, you have to go in and see when a test is offered during that window in which location you want to take it. So you want to go on the website. The test date for 2013, please ignore that. That's a past testing date, as is the January window is closing as well. That was given, this was a presentation that was given back in December. So ignore that date. It's past.
When is the last time you could take this Praxis test and still qualify?
July.
July would be the last time, and the scores would be in?
Okay, so the question is, when is the last date you can take this test and still qualify?
Currently, the last date that ETS has for a Praxis to still qualify you by the September 1st deadline is the July window, the 14th through the 26th. So that's the last test date that they're currently offering And I think that will be the last one, because if I follow their schedule from last year, after July, they didn't offer another until October, and that would be past the date. So we're saying July is the last one you want to shoot for.
Great questions.
Any other questions?
Okay, let's get back into the content then.
Let's practice.
Let's practice.
Okay, so each of you has been, we've handed out a document that looks like this on the front page. Sam has questions. So, let's have everybody work on number 1. We'll walk around, see how everybody is doing, and then we'll come up and we'll talk about it.
Do you want to know that?
Is this a sample test question?
Yes, this is a sample test question packet. Okay. Who needs more time to play around with that? Yep, just number 1. Who needs more time to play around with number 1?
Hal, I'm seeing some great equations and expressions being written here.
You want your full? Have you seen any pictures being drawn? I'm going to be disappointed. Oh my gosh. Okay, I'm going to start working this problem up here. So if you would like, go ahead and watch what I'm doing. Again, I draw pictures. I have to make sure I've got a picture. So my question is, if there are exactly 5 times as many children as adults at a show, which of the following cannot be the number of people at the show? So I'm just going to start with drawing a picture of what this looks like. So if I've got 1 adult, how many children am I going to have? 5. 2, 3, 4, 5. If I have 2 adults, how many children am I going to have? Okay, and so on. So I've started my picture. I'm going to say that A is going to represent my adults. So, what would represent my children?
5A.
5 times 8 or 5A, right? All right, how many total people did I have right here? How many total people did I have here? How many people would I have if I had 3 adults? $18, okay? So really what I'm doing is I'm adding the number of adults to children, A plus 5A, and that equals the total number, right? So what's A plus 5A? 6A is going to equal my total. So now I just need to figure out which of those totals wouldn't work. So
how are you going to know which one doesn't work?
well, we are going to solve. We're going to plug in the total number for total. So 6A is equal to 102. That's my answer A, right? So I'm going to see if that quote-unquote works. Now, how are we going to tell if it works? Well, if it comes out, if I solve for A, how am I going to solve for A in this, by the way? Okay, so we're going to divide both sides by 6. So what's 102 divided by 6?
Oh, long division time.
17. All right. So if I come up with the number 17, I know it worked, right? So if I had 17 adults, how many children would I have? Well, then I would just take 5 times that 17, and that would give me 85. Okay, so that worked. So let's try our next one. So we will say 6A is equal to 80. All right. So we're going to solve for A. Divide both sides by 6. What's 80 divided by 6?
30.
What is it? 13.3 repeating? Okay, so that means we've got 13 and 1/3 adults there. Would that work? Sometimes my wife does accuse me of only being half there.
Yeah, but this is a third there.
But this is a third, and that's really deficit. So if we had exactly 5 times the number of children as we did adults there, we would have a fraction of a child too, right? So that doesn't work. Does everybody understand why that one wouldn't work? Fantastic. Let's jump to number 2.
So basically on this one, you were looking for a number that was not a multiple of 6 then?
Yes. Very good.
And if you pick up those patterns, that will help you eliminate some answers very quickly. So for instance, if you recognized it needed to be a multiple of 6, 30 you can pull off very quickly. 36 you can pull off very quickly.
And sometimes the answer is going to be about what you can eliminate and make things easier for you. So.
You're not penalized for, there are some tests when you make a wrong answer, you actually get deducted points. Here, if you get a wrong answer, you just don't get any points.
Yes.
So if you're not sure, don't leave a blank. Take a guess. And if you can narrow it down, you're going to have a greater probability of being able to get it correct.
Make sure the answer makes sense to you.
So now we're looking at number 2?
Yep, now we're looking at number 2. All right, does anybody need more time? Anybody want more time on that? Okay. All right, so we have the original price of a car was 25% greater than its cost to the dealer. The actual selling price was 25% less than the original price. If C is the cost of the car to the dealer, and P is the selling price, which of the following represents P in terms of C? All right. So, I had somebody say D. D is the correct answer. You guys, if you read through that problem and you try to digest it all as a whole, it's probably going to be a little bit overwhelming, right? But if you break it into pieces, it then becomes manageable. So we're really talking about the original price of a car was 25% greater than its cost to the dealer. We'll stop right there. Let's see if we can figure out what the original price was. Okay? So, the original is equal to what the dealer paid plus 25%. All right. That's my picture. I could draw blocks. I'm not going to draw blocks, but this is going to help me visualize what my equation should look like. So, the original cost, I'm going to call it C, is equal to what? Actually, you know what? Here, let's call the original cost. Let's call it O. Because it's what the dealer paid, C, we'll call the, okay, so the dealer, what the dealer paid is going to equal C. So the cost of it, C, plus, how do I figure out what 25% is? 0.25 C. So O, or the original, better so we don't confuse that for 0. Original is equal to C plus 0.25C. Well, what's C plus 0.25C? What is it? Well, I have a 1C, right? It's just 1C plus 0.25. So the original that says original there because I didn't give myself space. It's beautiful, isn't it? Original is 1.25C. That's going to do sense. Okay.
So it's like 125%. So I paid 100% plus a 25% more.
Yeah.
Now, the dealer says, we are taking 25% off of this car. So we're going to give you a 25% discount. So your sale price, or what they're calling P, is going to be that original price, right? 1.25C. But then he's taking 25% off. So how do we take 25% off of the price? How much would we then be paying? 75%. So we would multiply that by 0.75. And again, my commutative property of multiplication says I can swap those around. So that can be 0.75 times 1.25C.
Questions on that one?
Yes?
I'm just kind of lost that maybe that's my language problem
Okay.
because it doesn't make sense to me.
Okay.
Because English is my second language. I don't even understand the question.
Okay. Okay. So would you like us to see if we can work it a different way? Are you sure? Because we can actually show this in a different way if you want. Do you want me to try it?
Maybe later.
Maybe later? Okay.
I will email you.
Okay. Okay.
Maybe you could talk in quarters.
Good.
Like actual.
And that was one of the things I was actually going to say is I could actually you could talk in you draw pictures, you could
So the comment was maybe you could use quarters
yeah,
as
maybe you
one
could
of
use
an
quarters
example.
as an example. One thing that I would do if I didn't understand, if I was having a hard time with the question, I would start off and I would say that is my original price. Now I'm going to divide it into 4 equal pieces, right? And I know that 25%, which is 1/4 of it, is what they add on at the dealership. That's what they're calling their original price.
They got to mark it up. They got to make a profit.
So that's that piece there. Or I can move that piece over to here and add it on to the top. So I've now got the original cost plus an additional 25%, which is 1.25. So that's 1.25C. But now if they're going to take 25% off of that, now I'm looking at that hole, no longer just not the blue hole. So I still know that this whole entire thing is 1.25C, right? But now I want to be able to take 25% off of that. So again, I'm going to cut it into 4 equal pieces, and I'm taking one of them out of there. So I'm taking 25% out. So what am I left with? Well, I'm left with 75% of 1.25C, which would be, again, 0.75 times 1.25C. So you can see the power of the picture, right?
I totally understand.
You get that now?
But
Good.
those wordings is so confusing.
Yes, and that's why you guys don't, like they would teach you in reading, when you're teaching reading, you don't tell the kids to look at the whole entire thing, right? You tell them to chunk it. You tell them to look for significance in the pieces. And that's what we're looking for here, is we're chunking. We're looking for significance in the pieces. Break the problem down. Okay, so Chantel was saying we have to get to number 4.
Just after we talked about it, we got to do one of them today.
So here's what we're going to do. Let's look at number 3 and number 4, and I think we can hit these pretty quickly. Okay, so look at number 3 and number 4. You did them?
Because I didn't understand number 2, so I'm going on.
Good. All right. Okay. Are we ready to go over those?
This problem makes Hal really happy.
Okay. You guys, these next 2 problems really make me happy because there's already a picture for us. Now we are going to draw a little bit of a picture. But we've got this way cool, okay, so we've got this way cool rectangular block. And with this block, we've got some measurements. And it's saying the large rectangular block pictured above was made by stacking smaller blocks, all of which are the same size. What are the dimensions in centimeters of each of the smaller blocks? So we've got the dimensions of the whole picture. What we want is the dimensions of, and my kids, when I was teaching, always made fun of my little artistic drawings here, so be awed by the perfection of that rectangular block. So what we want to do is we want to take one of those and find out what its dimensions are. So if 3 of them added together equal 12 centimeters, what does 1 of the fronts equal? What's the width of just 1? How did you get that? Okay, good. So you've got 3 pieces. It's 12 centimeters long, right? And you've got 3 pieces, so you're going to divide it by 3 because they're equal pieces, right? So that's 3, that's 3, and that's 3. So make sure that I label. Oh, excuse me, 4. Sorry, 4. Divide by 3. My bad. I was just testing you guys to see if you were paying attention. How many of you have used that? All of you. My bad. Sorry. I got ahead of myself. Got excited.
This problem doesn't make him happy.
It does. Okay, 4 centimeters. Oh my gosh. Okay, so what's my depth? Well, up here I've got 2 that are 8. Okay, so 2 added together are 8 centimeters. We've got 2 pieces, we divide it by 2, and each one is 3? Okay. 4 centimeters.
Well, now if I look at the answer choices, I really hope the next one's 3.
Yes, that would really make us happy, wouldn't it? Okay, so our next piece is 9 centimeters, and we've got 3 pieces. Okay, 9 centimeters, 3 equal pieces, we divide by 3. That gives us 3 centimeters each. So, our answer would be D, 4 by 4 by 3.
In a way, they're all wrong because they didn't put the units on there.
That is true. Oh, they need to see my work. Okay, I am sorry.
And it asks for centimeters.
Yep. All right. Now, number 4. It says, in the figure above, line L and line P are parallel. Oh my goodness, is everybody getting all excited and fidgety because we've got 2 parallel lines cut by a transversal?
We can label all of these.
That's what
I
it
know
looks like.
everyone that's X up there. I can label each one of those that are X.
So if it says, in the figure above, line L and line P are parallel, and Y equals 3 times X, what is the value of X? Well, what do we know about X and Y? They have to add up to 180, right? They're supplementary. Because, do they look the same? No, they look different, so they're supplementary. If they would have looked the same, like this angle and X, what would we have known? They were equal, right? Okay, so we know that X plus Y is equal to 180 degrees. Now we also know that Y is equal to 3 times X. Who knows what the substitution property is? What is the substitution property?
You know that Y equals 3 after Y.
Okay, very good. If we know that 2 terms are equal, okay, if 2 terms have the same value, we can substitute those terms for each other. So we know that Y is equal to 3X, so I'm just going to say X plus 3X is equal to 180. Because Y and 3X are the exact same thing. They're equal. What's X plus 3X? Okay, so that is 4X. Ooh, that was kind of trippy. Looking up there and writing, it was behind me. So I had to check to see if my brain was really working. I'm not going to do that again. Wow. Okay, so 4X is equal to 180. How do I solve for X? Divide by 4 on both sides, and I end up with x is equal to 45 degrees. So then we look and we know that the answer is B, right? 45 degrees. All right, any questions on that one? We're over time.
Yeah, time flies when you're having fun doing math.
Math is so much fun, you guys.
You can do it. Okay, so 3 pieces of homework. The first one is to look at your definitions, start writing some of those definitions in your own words. The second piece of homework is to email Hal or I the areas you would like to focus on this week. Well, this week, email Hal and I the areas you would like to focus on.
For the rest of the class.
For the rest of the class. And then the last piece of homework is, will you please finish these questions that are in here, and then we can go over those questions that you would like to see. Okay? Have a wonderful evening. Safe travels.
Thank you, guys.